Hello, computer scientists. This is Mr. Lang, and I'm just going to kind of work through some of the developing tools that we in computer science and software engineering are using to help make our jobs better. And this is what they're actually using in industry. People that are actually developers are using these types of tools. It may not be the exact software application because we know that there's a lot of applications out there, but they are using these types of tools. So it doesn't matter if you're going to be a developer of video games, maybe you are an amazing graphic artist, maybe you are a designer for web pages or application development for our cell phones and tablets. Doesn't matter. People are still using these types of tools. So start to use them and get to know them, and because they will be your friend as a developer. So first of all, what are we looking at? This is a software application called GitKraken. I was introduced to this just earlier this year by one of my students. Thank you very much. So one of the parts it has glow boards in it. And basically it's a product development software. So it has, and I kind of set this up to where things that I need to do, all right, such as my Python programming screencast, which I'm doing right now. All right. Things that are working on in progress. All right. And these are called backlogs. I should say that. Functions and parameters. These are the backlogs that I need to complete. And then things that I'm done. You can see some of the programs that we worked through. For loops. We worked through that. While loops. We got that done. And then the nested control structures. We have that done as well. All right, so now we're actually working on the backlog functions and parameters, as well as working on our Python programming and screencast. So this isn't going to go from the to-do anymore. This is actually in progress. You can see I'm just clicking and dragging and waiting for that to move down, and this is what I'm working on right now. So if I open up this backlog, my Python programming screencast backlog, you can see the sprints that I have made in order to check this backlog off or move it to the done category. And so the first thing that I did was I prepared a screencast by making a script. All right. So you guys, I'm going to ask my students that are making one of these to always make a script. So I can check that off. I have my script right next to me. You can't see it, but it is there. All right. And so now I'm working on completing a screencast. I'm not done with it yet, but when I get done, I'll check it off. I need to upload it to my YouTube channel, add it to my computer science and software engineering of my ePortfolio. And when I'm all done, I can move it to my done and celebrate. So kind of cool. All right, so I'm going to kind of check that off there for right now. And the other part of it are all these commits. Now, this may look really like, holy cow, what? There's lots of colors, lots of lines. This looks like way too much. I'm not even going to do this. I'm not going to learn it. No way. But you guys, this is so easy, and it will be a lifesaver for you. So basically, over here on the right, these are what's called commits. All right, and I'm going to showcase some of those here in a little bit. All right, and here's all of the different branches that I've branched off and to learn different things within Python. And we're actually doing what's called the control flow part of learning Python. And so how I tell my students to imagine this is, what if we're working for GM and we're working on that new self-driving car, and maybe this is the parking assist. All right, so you got a group of developers working on that parallel parking assist. Maybe this is a branch for the adaptive cruise control, which is so cool. My brother has it. I wish I did. To when you're cruising on the highway, there's a car going slower in front of you. You don't have to now take your hand and adjust the cruise control. It will do it for you. There's sensors that are sending out lasers, I believe, that's sending out information and gathering information and adapting the speed of your vehicle based on the speed of the vehicle in front of you. Maybe you're working on that new infotech center. All the cool things that are on the Infotech Center. You've got a tech team that's working on that. And so again, there's so many different ways that you can look at this, but I'm trying to just have them imagine this is what you would do. Then you have what's called a development and a master. The master is actually what's out on the car, what actually software is running right now on the car. But there's, again, people developing new software for this all the time, updates to software to make it run faster, to take care of any security vulnerabilities. And so we would actually do what's called a merge, and we would merge that into our development branch first. test it in our development branch first. Make sure it's working. Take it out in the car and drive it on the streets and make sure, or in the testing facility, I should say, and make sure everything is working great, and then upload that to the master. Again, think if you're making that video game and you're a video game designer and you got that new level. You just don't want to push it up to all your users and have them totally hate your game and leave your game for a new one. You'd want to push that into a development branch first. And maybe you got a group of developers that are willing to test out your version, a beta, if you will, and give you feedback of what's working, what's not working, to make sure you can make those adjustments before you push it then to what we call the master production. This is what then people on their phones or their Xboxes or their cars would say, oh, we got a software update. Sweet. And then they would download it and install that onto their systems. All right. So, and again, I'm going to show how we do that here in a little bit. Another tool that we use, you guys, is our GitHub. This is where we push everything up to the internet. So that way we have a backup of just in case if something happens to our programs locally. Again, I should probably have shown you that in Get Cracking. You may have seen a couple different icons. This little computer says local. That's on my actual personal computer's hard drive. That's what's stored in this. But you know what? Those can fail. Hard drives can fail. Maybe my laptop gets stolen. Maybe my kid throws a bunch of water on it and it just fries it. All right. You never know what could happen. All right. So that's why we also have what's called an origin. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what I do. I push it. When I get done with things, I push it up to the internet, and that goes to my GitHub repository. Now, there's a lot of repositories online that you can choose from, but GitHub is the one that I have chosen, my students and I use, all right, to put all of our different projects on the internet. So again, if something happens to our local computers, we'll be fine. All right. And so I'm going to showcase more about that in a little bit. And then another tool that we're using, you guys, is Pycharm. This is where we actually go and write all our programs. We test all our programs. We compile those. All right, we run them down here. You can see that I've ran through one of my programs. All right, and so again, I'll kind of minimize that. So let's go ahead and kind of see how this works. So I'm going to jump back over to Get Cracking. All right, and I am going to, right now, the main one here, my functions and parameters is checked out, and add separation between functions with titles. I was kind of just editing things to make it look a little bit nicer when I was done, but I'm going to go back a little bit, and I'm going to check out this commit called add greening. I can see when I did it, February 3rd of 2020 at 8:34 a.m., I can click on this .py file and I could see what I added. And I added a greeting function. All right, got a little single line comment there. I have a global variable for my name. What is your name? And then inside the function, it's going to call that global variable name and say, hi there, whatever your name is that you typed in with some user input. Very nice to meet you. Name, again, whatever you would put in. And then I say, hey, this is where I'm going to call it. So I create my function here and I call it down here. All right, so I can see that right there. I'm going to go ahead and close that. Now that I have that checked out, if I go back to Pycharm, check this out. This is the only program now in Pycharm that I have. And if I want to compile it to see if it works, oh no, what happened here? The working directory does not exist. Give me a second. I'll be right back. All right, just had to go in and change some settings real quick, you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. And oh, it was running already. So let me go ahead and stop and rerun it. What is your name? I could put in my name here. Well, probably with a capital L would be better. All right, and run that. Hello there, Mr. Lang. Very nice to meet you, Mr. Lang. And my function's done. All right, so that's all I did on that one. But then you know what? We added some more things here. So what if I go and check this commit and I see, okay, well, what's different? I can always go over to my document here. I can see some things that I haven't read, some things that I took out, some things that I added. And I added, you guys, down here, a function called print something. And all I want to do is print the value of X, all right, which was 3. And then again, I called my functions down here, and I have my print something where I'm calling that function right there. So if I go over to my Pycharm, sure enough, let me minimize this a little bit. There is my new print something function right there. I'm calling it down here. And the reason I have print X here is I was showing the students between the global variable 15 and the local variable of print something, which would print 3. So if I run this, all right, and what is your name? Mr. Lang. Oh man, I mistyped that big time. I was just trying to go super fast. But there's 3, which was the value of print something, and then X of 15, which was my global variable. So anywho, you guys, let's go ahead and continue on looking at this. If I then go through, you can see all the different functions, and eventually I added a print multiple times function. All right, and if I go to my control flow, you can see just what I added. So I just added the function multiple times with a string and how many times I want to print it. I got my for loop inside of there. All right, and here down below, I'm adding my arguments for the parameters that I've set above. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. Now you may say, well, let me come back to this. You say, well, Mr. Lang, what happened to the entire document? These are things that I just added or taken out. If I want to see the entire file view, there is the entire file. And that is going to look exactly like my file that I have here. It's going to go through all of these different functions that we've created now. And you can see that I've kind of hashtagged them out when I called them, so that way it will only do my most recent function that I've created there. And that was just for testing purposes. All right. And then last but not least, all right, I was all done with them. And here is where I just went in and I added some separation between the lines. So I'm going to go ahead and now I can just double click on that one and check it out. Again, if I go and look at my document, this is where it's so powerful. I have this software. You as a developer, if something crashed in your program, what did I add? What did I take out? This will really help you in the future. All right, so with that, all right, you guys, this now has some separation, and it's probably going to run through my entire project and everything. And I'm not going to run all the way through that and check it right now. I have checked that, and I know things are working on it. But what I need to do now is I need to merge it. All right, so I just got done doing all that. Again, think that this is my, what does I work? Maybe my automatic windshield wipers or something, I don't know, or traction control of my car. I now want to merge that into the development to fix any bugs that may be there or move around some programs into different locations. So my development, I'm going to check this out first. And if I go back to Pycharm here, this does not have anything in here about my functions that I just created. This is just all the other branches that I've merged into my development so far. Okay, it has nothing at all with my functions and parameters that I created. All right, doesn't have that in it. So now I'm going to click and drag this into here. And I'm going to say merge my functions parameters into development. And I get a conflict here. I get a merge conflict. All right, and so what I'm going to do is there's a couple things I can do. I can go over here and click on this document, and I can see what my development branch looks like over here on the left. I can also see over here on the right what my functions and parameters. All right, I've got to merge these two together. And the reason I have a conflict is they don't know where I want to put these things. They don't know where really I want to add these in my program. All right. And so another way you can do it is go over to Pycharm. Now you're probably going to see that I have this word head here. So that's the top of my branch for development. All right. And again, these are all the programs that I've merged into it already. And then eventually I'll see an equal sign. This now is the start of all of my functions that we just got through learning. All right, and then at the bottom of it, you can see that this is the end of my functions and parameters branch that I'm trying to merge. So I can fix these conflicts here, or really, I could just keep it the way it is and say, okay, you know what? I like the way it is, and I can simply take these out. All right, because it won't compile with those in there. I would get an error. All right. But again, what if you were that developer that said, hey, I want to call the function when the car loads up or my video game loads up. I want to call, hey, greetings. I want to call my greeting function. So basically what I would do is I would come up in here and find my greeting function. All right, I'd probably have to start with my global variable up here and take that out from this location. So I'll do a Control X and I'll bring it up to the top. All right, and I will paste that into there. There's my global variable. Now I'm going to go get my greetings function itself. All right, and so let me go ahead and go down and find my greetings function. And there it is. And I got my hashtag there saying that that's my greeting function. So I'll go ahead and Control X that to cut it from there. And I'll put that up above here. I got to put it below my global variable because I'm going to be calling my global variable name here inside of that function. And last but not least, I need to call that. And so down below, I have my greeting function right there. All right, so that is going to call my greeting function. So I'm going to go ahead and do a Control X there and cut that from there and put that all the way at the top here. All right, so now that I have that there, I'd want to run this. This is in my development branch. I want to make sure that I don't have any conflicting errors. So you definitely want to run it. All right, and go through your program. What is your name? Mr. I'll slow down a little bit this time. Mr. Lang. All right, and here's my greeting function. Hi there, Mr. Lang. Very nice to meet you. And as you can see, it's working through my other projects, all right, my other code. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this real quick just to make sure I don't have any errors, and it finishes it without any compiling errors, and everything is good. So again, as a developer, in your development branch, you want to make sure that you compile it and everything works. Now that things worked, I can go ahead and close this and I can say, you know what? I've resolved all my conflicts. All right. And it's in the staging area now. And we're going to do a commit message, merge branch functions and parameters into development. I'm pretty sure that says development over there. I'll use my arrow keys and sure enough, it does. So I'm going to commit and merge that. So now my development here is locally, I have merged those and everything works right. But globally or on the internet, the origin, it is not. All right. So if I go to the internet here and change this from my master branch to development and then open up my controlflow.py, I do not have my functions in here yet. All right. It's just my for loops, my while loops and stuff like that. So what do I need to do? Yes, I need to push that up to the internet. And now you'll see here in a second, it was successful. Thank you, Governor. And it now is up to date. If I go back to the internet, I have to do a refresh here. All right. And it may take a second, which now I have all of my functions down below here. So it's updated. Very important to do that. All right. So with that said, you guys, I've tested everything out. All right, and everything is now good. I'm going to go back to my glow boards and go over to my functions and parameters because I can check off this one right here. I just merged my functions and parameters into my development branch and I checked for errors. That was crucial. I'm going to move on to my next sprint task list, which is merge our development into our master branch, and I want to compile it again just to make sure that there's no errors. So this is when your company is getting ready to celebrate. You've given your development out to beta testers on the internet, maybe people in test cars that you are that work for your company or whatever on the test track, and things are working great. And it's now time to give those out to your consumers. All right, and celebrate. So what you want to do is, this is the master branch. You never want to edit or do anything editing wise on the master branch. This is always the branch that is in production. What's on people's cell phones for the latest app, on their consoles for the latest video game, in their cars, all of that. So I've checked it out. I'm going to grab my development and I am going to drop that right on the master, and I'm going to choose merge development into master. And now you can see my master here is above everything. It's kind of local, but it's still not up to date with what we have on the internet. So you guessed it, I would want to push that to the internet. And now, even though it may look just like my development branch, when I come over to Pycharm, I am working. This is in the master branch now, and I would want to compile that one more time and make sure things are working great. All right, and so you always want to test this out. Oh man, why did I put 12 numbers to sum up? All right, 1, there we go, and it goes through all of my programs, no problem. And so I can head on back to my Get Crackin', go over to my product development boards, look at my functions and parameters backlog. I can merge that in. I just merged that, great. And again, now it's time to celebrate. All right, so that is now able to take it from its in progress over to, well, I didn't want to do that. Let's see here. Take it from in progress over to done. All right. Whew. Another thing checked off the list. So again, another backlog, if you will, checked off the list. You want to make sure you're using the proper terminology with this. These are backlogs. All the little things, those 10 items inside, those are all of our sprints. So let me make sure and see where I'm at with this backlog. So again, I'm still working on completing a screencast. All right, so I'm kind of right on par with that. And so what I want to showcase now to you guys back here is what if you guys, you came and again, your hard drive crashed and you did not have any of your programs anymore. Holy cow, what would you do? First, your probably heart would, go into your stomach and you would be like, oh my gosh, maybe you've been working on this for years, you guys. There's developers working on software for years among years. Could you imagine if it was all gone? Well, let's do this. What if you logged off your computer, and you don't have to do that right now, but you logged off your computer. You came back, and let me go back to where I have my local repository. So Mr. Lang, and this may take me a second because I have quite a path here, CSSE. This is my new school year, second trimester. Here's actually the control flow repository locally. So whenever you saw that local right here, it was saving it to my control flow.py file right there. That's the file that was getting called in my Pycharm, my control flow. Whenever I would run it, it would compile it based off of that. So what if that was gone? Let me just choose delete, and control flow is now deleted. All right, well, why are you still there? Let's see. Control flow, delete you. Now it's gone. There we go. Control flow deleted. So it is gone. All right, it is not there anymore. All right, and so if I come over to, now I'm going to minimize this. If I come over to Get Crackin', control flow, here's my repos. If I try to open it, couldn't open it, failed. It doesn't know where that repository is. All right, if I go to Pycharm, oh, there's my control flow gone. If I try to compile it, I get a running error. It doesn't have it anymore. The file is gone. And actually, this is my file path over here. Okay, sorry about that, you guys. My dog was barking like crazy, so I had to take her outside. So here we are. I'm back into my file path. You can see kind of all the file path of where I was just a little bit ago on my local repository. My second hour, my second try, first hour, my control flow is gone. I normally had a directory there with all of my work. It is gone. Again, let's pretend that our hard drive crashed. It was all gone. But now you can have a little bit of calmness because you know that you've put all your work onto a repository online on GitHub. All right, so I'm going to show you how you can get it back, which is really cool. So I'm going to go back to Get Crackin'. I'm going to choose Clone a Repository. All right, and I'm going to choose where, from where do I want to clone it? So I'm going to go to GitHub, and so I'm logged into my GitHub. So I might be on another computer. Maybe I've got a new hard drive, whatever. You want to log into your GitHub account, which is very easy to do if you have a username and password. All right, where to clone it to. This is, and I'm going to come back to this, but here's my repositories to clone. I can click on them. Here's all the different repositories that I have throughout my system. And the one I want is the control flow right here. All right. Again, where do I want to clone that? This is where I need to go in and choose the repository of where I want to put that. So Mr. Lang, again, my programming folder, Python, computer science and software engineering. Here's the school year I'm working on, second try. And this is where I want to put it. And this file path actually matches the file path that I have along here as well in Pycharm. So there we go. So I'm going to choose OK. And I'm going to choose clone the repo. And now it says it was successful. Whew, that's good. Open now. And here comes all of my work. Now, it may take a second to kind of get everything back, but here is all of my commits, all of my different branches. Amazing. Everything is back open, so that is no longer there. I'm going to close you. All right. If I open this controlflow.py, there's my document with all of my changes to it. Amazing. And everything is up to date. Now, let's go over to Pycharm. Now you can see that there's my control flow directory right there. It just reappeared. All right, that's where file management is crucial. You got to know your file management. And my control flow, there's my control flow right there. I can compile it. What is your name? Mr. Lang. And I'm not going to go all the way through it all, but I can compile it and everything is back up into order. Again, think if you're that developer of a video game that you've been developing for years and something happened to your computer. So important to have that online, as well as I even put it on a flash drive. I put all my repositories. So I'll actually go back. I will take this folder right here and I will put that onto a flash drive or an external hard drive as well. I like to have mine backed up to 3 different locations. All right. So very important to have backup. So you guys, as a developer, you've probably seen some really cool tools that we use to work on our projects throughout them. You've seen how it's important to have things online and to also, as a developer, make sure that you are checking off. My screencast is completed. My next step is I'm going to upload that to my YouTube channel, which is going to be really cool, and then add that to my portfolio and all of that. So again, thanks for hanging out with me, you guys, and always keep computing.